All right, joining us here on the PHLY Sixers Podcast, we have a 12-year NBA vet, all-star, Olympian, and a pain in the neck for a lot of Sixer fans for many years. Michael Redd joining us here. Michael, what's going on, man? Thanks for joining us.
All is well, guys. Thank you for having me on.
No problem. Glad to have you in. Well, first, we wanted to get you in here because you on Twitter, where you're very active and you talk about the game, and we'll get to so much more about Twitter, but you spoke specifically about Sixers star Tyrese Maxey and your belief of him from college to where he is now as a 6-year pro, and basically taking the reins of the Sixers franchise leader and the face of the organization. Joel Embiid, Paul George basically said the same as well. So just to start off, what has impressed you from the collegiate days to where he is right now, where you had some questions about his game as a smaller guard, but he has really turned you into a fan to where we are today?
Yeah, that's smaller guard thing, and when it comes to Philly, it's a misnomer, right? You had the great AI, who's one of the greatest smallest guards ever, and then I think you see Tyrese following his footsteps. I didn't see this coming out of Kentucky. I don't think anybody did. If they talent for sure, and kudos to Coach Cal. These guys wind up being great pros when you don't see it necessarily in college, and the list goes on, and he's right in the line of all the great players that have come out of Kentucky. But his growth year by year has been so impressive, and I want to give him his flowers on Twitter and let him know and let the fans know this guy's to be taken seriously. And the one thing that I love watching him play is that there's so much joy that comes from when he plays. I was in Milwaukee a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, watching the 54-point game against my Bucks, and he's laughing and the joy that he plays with. He's having fun. He loves he loves the game of basketball. I've heard his work ethic is historic and epic, and he is certainly the future not only of the Sixers but of the league, though.
And that's a big claim, obviously, right? There's a lot of up and coming young talent right now, Michael. And one of the reasons that I really wanted to talk to you, I'm sure Devon as well, is that you've really been, it seems like, on a mission to uplift these guys that are part of this new generation of stars at the forefront of the league, which is not the case for everybody. Some former players, analysts, what have you, are more in the back of my day mentality. Why has that been so important to you to try to promote, big up, like act as like an older brother almost, looking after the league now that you've been out of the league for a while?
Yeah, I think it's more obvious than me being intentional about doing it. These guys are obviously terrific talents, and I'm just acknowledging what I'm seeing. And we're seeing incredible talents with these young guys. The game is an incredible space right now. We did what we did when we played. And now it's time to celebrate and give flowers to these guys who are doing extraordinary things night after night, the numbers, the performances. And so I want to be really intentional about being more positive about the next generation of player than negative. And so I think it's just all about giving them their flowers.
No, you've done. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Kyle.
Michael, to the point of the game evolving, as a featured player, all-star in your day, you were taking probably like 5, maybe 6 threes a game at your peak, and now those are like role player numbers, right? There are guys who are just standing on the wing or coming off of screens, playing off the star, who are taking that type of volume. Have you ever thought, or how much have you thought about where you fit in the ecosystem today? And I guess, like, what impresses you the most about the way the sport has changed and the players have adapted to this new era?
Yeah, it's been fun to watch the evolution. I was talking to a great player 2 years ago who shot a lot of threes. And I was sharing with him I only shot maybe 4 to 5 threes a game for my career. And how it would be for me in this era where if you can shoot the three, you're such a valuable asset. The game has evolved. You've got to give Steph Curry a tremendous amount of your credit for this. You've got to give Damian Lillard, on and on and on, the great shooters of the era, Klay Thompson, that have made the three-point shot more of a weapon more than ever before. It doesn't dilute what Reggie and Ray and all the great shooters of the past did, Allen Houston, so on and so on. But you've got to give it up to these guys who are not only shooting at a high volume, but for the most part accurate. So there's even conversation that's been around, how do we pull the three-point line back because these guys are so accurate from the line now. So it's certainly a weapon more than ever before. I don't think about it too much, but I'll probably go insane on how many threes that I would be able to shoot right now. But it's certainly a new day, and kudos to the guys that can make it. You've got to be able to hit threes nowadays from every position. So it's fun to watch.
Michael Redd joining us here on the PHLY Sixers podcast. And Michael, off of that, Tyrese Maxey, to your point, where you made the initial comment of you didn't see this coming from Kentucky. This was a question about his game. Could he make the three-pointer coming out of Kentucky, because he did not do it as much at the collegiate level, but he is now, he drops 8, 9, he shoots about 10 a game, and he gets those up and he creates the space to get those shots off, and even as a smaller guard. So with that, and then a second part of what I wanted to bring up to you is you in the position that you were in Milwaukee, where it eventually became your franchise after a while. And the same thing with Tyrese, where Joel Embiid has carried the torch for many, many years. Paul George comes in as another all-star, but he has had to toe that line of, when can I be the guy? And we even had our questions as early as last season, can he be the main guy? And he has answered that. So the volume, of course, and then for you having that experience of going through a similar situation where you eventually took that torch, became the franchise face, and similar thing. What goes into that, and how do you go about it of tiptoeing it a bit, but also knowing you have to grab onto that?
Yeah, it's interesting. That's why I gravitate to him, because I saw his ascension, and it took me 3.5 years to get to that point where I became the face of the franchise. But there is a line, right, where you give deference and you honor the guys that had the torch before you did. But it comes, and the cream always rises to the top, right? And the coaching staff, organization, GM, ownership, all have to back it. I know for me, I was endorsed by George Karl and our ownership and our GM. That it's his time, and you can clearly see with Tyrese, it's his time. Pertaining to his three-point ball, there was a time where you can go under the screen with Tyrese. Now you can't go under the screen with Tyrese in his pick and roll game. You got to honor his jump shot, his side step, his back step shots. He's got a variety of shots off the three. And what I love about his development too is that he doesn't need the ball to be dominant. He can play off the ball and spot up. It'd be interesting to see what his spot up threes look like as well. I mean, the guy can do a little bit of everything offensively, and he's gotten bigger over the years. I watched him when he first came into the league. He wasn't as big as he is now. He's got stronger. He can take contact. I see him as a combination of Gilbert Arenas, De'Aaron Fox, and Jamal Murray, in a sense, where he has the touch of Jamal. He has the explosive speed like De'Aaron, and he has the killer scoring mentality that Gilbert had.
So in the backcourt next to Tyrese has been VJ Edgecombe. Michael took him with the number 3 overall pick this year. He came out of the gate, had one of the high scoring rookie games ever. Been some ups and downs since, but broadly has been very good, very productive next to Tyrese. I guess, what have you seen from him in these early days, and what can you tell people about the experience of being either a rookie or a young player in the league, trying to figure out the pace of play and where you fit into everything?
I call him baby Jimmy Butler. Same body type, and the athleticism. He reminds me of Jimmy Butler, so much different, but similar for me. And this guy is the limit for this young man who is starting as a rookie, right? And as we know, Philly has great veterans to surround him, with Paul George, mentioned Joel Embiid, obviously, other veterans around him to develop. And so I always say, when you have great veterans around you, that can help shape your career. And so he's certainly learning from Tyrese and learning from those other guys on how to conduct himself. He has a maturity about him and a moxie about him, which is really impressive. And if he continues to develop the way he's been developing, you look out for Philly's backcourt over the next few years.
All right, well, let's talk about the backcourt that you used to have to face with the Philadelphia 76ers led by Allen Iverson, because the organization they're honoring the 2000-2001 finals appearance team, and it's gotten so much love. And it's because of, some battles that they had with the Milwaukee Bucks, Toronto Raptors, so on and so forth. But man, just watching those games yourself, putting up big numbers against the Sixers, driving Sixer fans nuts because of your three-point shooting as well. What are some of the memories that really stand out to you playing against Allen Iverson and certainly those Sixers teams that were led by him?
Yeah, PTSD. With all due respect, when you mention AI to me, just a handful to guard, night in and night out. I obviously had a relationship with Aaron McKee and Eric Snow more than AI. Those are the guys that would guard me during that time frame, and tremendous talents in their own right, defensively oriented team. And AI was just so talented, unstoppable. For me, the hardest guy, 1A, 1B with him and Kobe that I've ever had to guard in my entire career. My best defense was my offense, to try to wear him out or get him in foul trouble or what have you, because there was nothing you could do on the defensive side of the ball to try to stop him. So that Philly team was unique, special. George Lynch, Dikembe Mutombo, Hill, this goes on and on with the talent that they had on the team, and they don't get the credit that they deserve. Obviously, we know the result of what happened in the finals with the Lakers, but that Philly team was just as good as anybody in the league, and obviously AI being a catalyst.
What was it for you specifically that put Iverson on that level with a Kobe Bryant in terms of difficulty covering them? Because obviously there are a lot of great scorers, especially guard scorers around that time, but AI year in and year out was 30 points a game and just getting to the free throw line, doing everything.
There was one year, I don't know how accurate this is. I remember Mo Williams, after a series, we played Philly 4 times in 1 year. And Mo says to me, "Hey, man, you played great against Philly, man. You averaged about 36 points a game in the 4-game series." I said, "Yeah." He said, "The problem is AI averaged 48. So you're minus 12. So that kind of capsulizes the whole experience. So, what a handful. He was so fast. He was so quick. The ability to make big shots, obviously. Underrated shooter. Had the ultimate green light under Coach Brown and other coaches that were there in Philly. So you couldn't stay in front of him, and it was hard to contest him. And he could finish at the rim with being so small, right? So pound for pound, probably one of the toughest guys ever played in the NBA. So many nights I had to get that sleep the night before the game to get ready for a long night of chasing him around all night long. And it was just a handful to guard him every night.
Well, see, this is some of the great storytelling when you bring up the players now, speaking of Tyrese Maxey, Damian Lillard, Steph Curry, for the things that they've done, Michael, and the storytelling that you have for all this. How do you like podcasting? I check out you and, the guests that you have on. You and T do a great job and listening to you and V on, having the conversations that you guys do. How's the podcast space been for you and the storytelling that you've done?
I've been away from the game a little bit for some time and resurfaced over the last year or so. I enjoy it. I enjoy giving an analysis about what I see. Obviously, most of it, if not all of it, is all positive, and what we're seeing to today's game. But me and T, we go back a number of years now, and there's a chemistry and cohesion with us and how we talk about the game. Obviously, current events, past events, some of the untold stories that you mentioned, we want to resurface and give the fans some insight on what it is and what it was to play in the NBA at a high level. So it's fun to get back and to rehash some of those stories.
Michael, I'm going to ask you something that's not necessarily a positive subject, but we're going to try to turn it into something that maybe is a positive angle on it. The Joel Embiid situation has been, we'll say, very tricky for the Sixers, not just this year, but the last couple of years. And I think one of the most difficult parts has been they really haven't known his teammates, whether he's going to be available this night, the next. It's constantly changing in the injury report and whatnot. As a team in the locker room, what do you think are some things that you can just kind of, how do you put that away? How do you compartmentalize such a big piece of your team being this huge variable every night and go out there and still put your best foot forward as a group?
I'm sure there's an expectation that was already set before the season started within the organization, and the players are not ignorant or unaware of what's happening with him being in and out of the lineup. I think that's a team decision the players are on board with, and he's earned that. Joel Embiid has earned that. He's an MVP, former MVP of his league, and is one of the most dominant bigs we've ever seen in the game. I empathize with Joel because having knee injuries myself, I had two back-to-back ACL injuries that derailed my career ultimately. So having knee issues is no joke, and it takes time, and it's challenging, it's difficult. As long as he has the backing of his teammates and his coaching staff and organization, which just seems like they do back him up, they'll be just fine, and they'll cope. Having him along the ride is a bonus whenever he plays, because he's still serviceable more than most bigs in the league, and when he does play. And the key for me is to see him healthy. That's all I want. I want to see Joel healthy, playing. I know the Philly fans want to see him out there playing and healthy, and it's challenging with knee injuries. I've been there, and so I empathize with Joel.
Well, listen, Michael, we appreciate you taking the time, man. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Everybody go check out Michael Redd _ on Twitter. It's fun. It's a treat. He gives you a lot of basketball insight and so much more there. And certainly in the podcast space, you and T doing a really good job, man. And can't wait to continue to listen to what you're doing and spreading positivity out there.
Appreciate my brother. Appreciate you. Thank you both for having me on.
Thanks, Michael.
Thanks for taking the time, Michael. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.